So you do funerals at church.
I do.
Okay. What is that like? And how does that go?
You know, on one hand, it's one of the greatest gifts I feel like that I'm able to give to people. And considering it an honor to be with them when loved ones are passing away or have passed away.
Okay.
Because, when you're with people, like as people are passing or after they have passed, it's, like often they're kind of looking at the pastor or the priest as, like really like representatives of God.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost like they feel God is near them or with them or walking with them through this because the pastor or the priest is there.
Okay.
And again, I'm not trying to make any kind of like equation of me being godlike or any of these kind of things. I'm just saying that's kind of the way people. So it's almost as if it's not about me specifically, like my name or who I am. It's more like my role, my function as a pastor or a priest, that I'm actually getting to walk alongside people during this journey. So it's a gift, but obviously it's very emotional for them, for me. But again, it's a gift to walk them through this time of grief and the process. You're asking about the process.
What's that like? What do you have to do?
Yeah, it really differs on every individual.
Okay.
In terms of, was the passing sudden or not? Was it expected? Was it not expected? And then depending on the situation, emotions are really high.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you've got someone and you're doing the funeral for an individual that everyone feels like good, like, okay, they know the Lord. They've lived a quote unquote long life. So let's say they're in their 80s and they've passed away, and so some people may think that's like a gift that they've actually been able to pass away, go be with the Lord. And so obviously their family is going to miss them and they grieve, but it's a very different grief and very different emotion than someone who passes away suddenly and it's seen as like a premature death.
Okay.
Like, someone suddenly passes away of a heart attack and they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s. Like, that's jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Someone passes away in the line of duty. I mean, obviously every time a first responder or law enforcement is involved, and, just in their day-to-day work, they know it's a chance, but still it's jarring when it actually happens, and then of course, obviously the if you have an individual that's a young person or even a child that passes away, that emotion is completely different. And therefore the process is completely different than someone who, again, is deemed as they've lived a full life, they're older, they're ready to go, or even someone who's been battling an illness and they may be a little bit younger. Maybe they're in their 50s or 60s, but they've been battling an illness and they're just ready. They're ready to go be with the Lord. I mean, obviously the family is upset about it, but they're ready to be with the Lord. And therefore the funeral, though and what I'm saying in all of this is, because of the way the situations are different, the funerals become different.
Okay, so someone dies at your church.
Yep.
What do you got to do?
So they've passed away. Then if I wasn't already there when they passed away, then I'm setting up a time to go visit the family, like ASAP, to sit down and talk about what do they want in the funeral, like what scriptures, what songs. I present them like a general outline of how funerals generally go. And then I also use that time to hopefully, if I can get together with family members, then I can listen to them tell stories about the individual who's passed away. And then that kind of helps me get an idea of the things that are important to the family to be communicated about that person. Because I might have a working knowledge or I have a relationship with that individual, but if I can convey things from the perspective of a spouse or a child or a grandchild, then that's obviously much more meaningful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's meeting, it's meeting with the family, then it's putting together the actual flow of service. It's communicating with the funeral home of, hey, here's the, like if the funeral's happening there at the funeral home, here's the outline we want to work with. So you work with the funeral home with that. And then families have to make decisions on, are they going to be buried, are in a casket, or are they going to be cremated? Does that determine a difference in graveside? Is graveside happening the same time as the funeral, or is it at a different time? So there are different variables at play as well in that. But for typically it's, viewing, funeral, graveside. And those are like the functions, if you were, that I would be present at and be present at the viewing, and then obviously leading the funeral and the graveside.
And then the after party.
Yeah. And then I know at our church, there's just food galore.
Mm-hmm.
Like our church provides a meal for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we'll bring it to, our church will provide it at the house of the family if that's preferred, or if the service is there at the church, or they want to come to the church after the graveside, then we provide a meal there. And it's a huge spread.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for those in our church that put the time, the energy, the effort to put all this together. Because some of our ladies will actually even take off work to come and make sure that the meal is ready. Mm-hmm. And so it's a pretty awesome labor of love. And kind of like it's just another gift to the family. So that's pretty much it. And then for my part on that end, then it's just kind of following up with the individuals, with the family members after the individual's passed. So.